guys, welcome back to my channel, and hello if you're new here. Thank you so much for joining. So as the UK weather has decided to literally skip September and just go straight to October because the weather, it is raining torrentially outside, I thought it would be the perfect time to start like a cozy mood reading vlog. I've picked my autumn TBR, so I know all the kind of books I want to read in this kind of weather, and it's definitely duvet day weather today, so I don't have any plans. I'm just going to sit down with my book. It is seriously raining, like even my horses are not in the field because it was thunderstorming this morning at about 6:30, and it's just duvet day. So we're going to start reading. Put a poll on my Instagram yesterday getting you guys to choose what books to read. So if you don't follow my Bookstagram account, there is a link down below because I'm really active on my stories over there. So I had 4 books to choose from: The Unmaking of June Farrow, Evocation, Ninth House, and then Black Sunshine. And it was really close between Black Sunshine and The Unmaking of June Farrow, but The Unmaking of June Farrow did win. So I've got the book right here. I'm really excited to read it because I feel like I haven't read anything like this all year, to be honest. I haven't read anything. I think this is like magical realism with a bit of a mystery, and I'm not entirely sure, but I know it's definitely mystery, maybe romantic suspense. I could be completely wrong there. I don't know a lot about it, but what I do know is that everybody is rating it 5 stars. I did share on my stories that I was going to start this book next, and a couple of people in my DMs were like, it is one of the best books I've ever read, and it stays with you after you've finished reading it, and that is just what I need. It definitely looks cozy. I'm in the mood for fantasy. I don't know if this is fantasy where it's got like dragons and fae and things like that in it, but I think it's, well, yeah, magical realism. Is that what they call it? Is that even a trope or a genre? I don't know. So I'm really excited to read it. It's quite a short book as well. I think it's actually only like 300 pages. So yeah, 310 pages. So it's the perfect book to sort of start over the weekend. I want to try and probably finish it in the next couple of days, to be fair, or definitely this weekend so we can start something else together on the vlog. I'm really excited to keep updated with my thoughts for this as we're going along. I think what I'm going to do as well is when I finish this book, I'll probably go back onto my Bookstagram account and then ask you guys again over there what book you would want me to read next, because all those 4 books I think I'm definitely going to read. I mean, I'm in the middle of Zodiac Academy, but because that series is so long, I got to book 3 and I decided to stop there because I thought it'd be a good place to stop, because I've heard book 5 is supposed to absolutely destroy you. So I thought before I get too deep into the series, I can tick off some other books on my physical TBR, which, as I'm sure you guys know if you're not a new subscriber, and if you are a new subscriber or new to my channel, my TBR is seriously never ending. It is ridiculous, and I really need to start making some inroads on books, especially because I just did a birthday book haul as well. So I added another 40 books to my physical TBR. Anyway, let's start this book and see how we get on with it. I will update you guys when I get about maybe 50 or so pages in, because I have this 50-page rule with books where I feel like I can tell if I'm going to enjoy a book or not after about the 50-page mark. And even if I feel like it's not really my thing by 50 pages, I will still give books a chance. I definitely wouldn't DNF that early on. But I always have a rule. I feel like I kind of know in the first 50 pages whether a book is going to be like a 4-star plus, whether it's not. So I will update you guys then just to let you know what I think. I haven't read anything by this author yet either, so this is also a new author for me as well. I am 48 pages into The Unmaking of June Farrow. My first thoughts are it's really slow. There's a lot of like descriptive writing in it, which sometimes I can find a bit tedious to read, but I'm not saying that it's poorly written. It's actually really beautifully written. It's just that it's quite slow because everything is described with so much passion and so much like beautiful prose, but I just feel like the story hasn't really gone anywhere. However, the mystery is starting to unfold just a little bit, and I really kind of like where it's going. It's really cutesy, kind of like small town vibes. It's set in America, in North Carolina, I think, so you can imagine the kind of like small town that it's set in. I don't know whether I don't think it's present day. I think we might be a little bit set back in the past, but not that far, maybe like the 90s or the 80s or something. I could be completely wrong there, but that's kind of what it sounds like. And everything sort of matches up to that. Even the way the characters speak and their dialogue is matching up to you know, it's definitely not set in 2020 something, that's for sure. It's not present day, and is definitely a big mystery. That's sort of, there's a lot of foreshadowing in it as well. It is quite slow, but I'm obviously going to stick with it because I'm only 48 pages in, so I mean that's hardly anything when the book is 300 pages long. I do like it now. I think the first 20 pages I was like, this writing style is so different to anything that I've read actually ever, I think, or for a very, very, very long time. It's a very different writing style, almost the way that when I started the Magnolia Park series, that writing style was so different to anything that I've read, and I'm still yet to read anything like those books. This is kind of like that as well, so I don't know if her other work is the same, because I do have a book from her as well called Spells for Forgetting. I don't know if that's the same kind of writing style, but it is really nice, and I think it's going to really fit the story. I just need to get used to it a bit more. I'm sure by another 50 pages I'll be really invested, because I do like where the story is going, even though I still have no idea where it's going to go, but I like the setup to it. Like I say, the foreshadowing is really good. It is really beautifully written. It's just taking some getting used to, but I'm definitely really enjoying it. I'm about halfway into the unmaking of June Farrow, and I feel like I'm already on a roller coaster of emotions with this book. So I found the first 50 pages really quite slow, and I was kind of thinking about maybe starting something else and then coming back to it. But a few people on my Bookstagram, when they saw me reading some of my stories, said to me that it is really slow, but just stick with it. It gets really good. And then literally out of nowhere, the book does like a complete 180, and I was literally sat there like, what is going on right now? It is not what I expected it to be, but not in a bad way. It's just definitely not the sort of story I thought I was going to be reading. I thought I was going to be reading like a really cozy fantasy sort of book, but it's not fantasy. It is magical realism, which is literally a realistic setting with fantasy elements to it. And it is set across, it's difficult to like explain this book without giving it away, but it's set across multiple timelines, and that's all I'm gonna say. And I just feel like it's gone from 0 to 100, and I can't put it down right now. I literally cannot put it down. It is really good. I think it's quite eerie feeling. It's set in North Carolina in like a small town, and it's sort of one of those towns where everybody knows everyone. You know, the neighbours are always in on your business. A secret is everybody's business. Everybody is watching you always. It's like that kind of vibe. It's pretty eerie, and I have no idea where this book is going right now. I'm trying to sort of come up with my own theories, and I can't. The writing style took some getting used to. It's just crazy. I wasn't expecting it to go this way. I think we kind of, I wouldn't say it was an info dump, but just sort of out of nowhere, the ball just dropped, and I was like, but I'm going to keep reading it and see how I get on with it. It's not really a long book, so I am just going to finish it now, especially because I'm enjoying it more, and I will update you when I've either finished the book or nearly finished the book. It's definitely got a lot better. The pace of it has picked up more. I think a lot of the beginning of it was a lot of setting the scene, and it's necessary, I think. From where I've got to now, halfway through the book, I've realised how necessary the start of it was, because it was pretty slow. I just felt like I was kind of reading about, like, as if I'm watching somebody's day unfold, but nothing was really going on. But I think we needed to learn about June before the story really started to get going, and yeah, it's really started. This is the same book. I just took the dust jacket off because I didn't want to ruin it, because I don't know, I haven't read hardback in ages, and it's actually so much easier to read a hardback than it is a paperback. Even in bed at night, like if you just lay there and open the book, like you don't feel like you're gonna break the spine. I wouldn't say I'm converted to hardback. I'm definitely a paperback reader for sure, but these are so much easier to read, but they're just so much more expensive to buy. I've literally just finished the unmaking of June Farrow. I sat down and read just shy of 250 pages of it in one sitting, because I could not put this book down. It was gripping, but I don't even want to say not in the best way, but this book genuinely gave me a headache. Kind of in the best way, but also not in the best way. And I'm trying to process what's just gone on in this book. It was really good. I can't decide whether to give it 4 or 5 stars. I don't know about 5 stars because I couldn't connect with the characters the way I do when I'd rate a book 5 stars. It's not that this book wasn't good, it's just the kind of story that it isn't really a story where I feel like it gives you a chance to like really connect with the characters and root for them. It's like, it's not that kind of book, but the writing was really good. The story was incredibly unique. And yeah, I'm just still trying to process. I literally basically read the majority of this book in pretty much one sitting today because I needed answers, but it was frustrating me. So I think the reason why I'm not quite getting the 5-star feeling from it is because it was so frustrating. You want answers so bad, and the book is really good at half answering your questions, but then it leaves you with more questions and you don't get any answers until right at the very end. And then when I got to the end, I was just so relieved. I kind of had a bit of a headache. It's really hard to get your head around. It is one of the most mind-boggling books I've ever read, but it was so good at the same time. I can't explain. I feel like I just really need to process, and then maybe tomorrow I'll come back with a bit more of a better review on the book, because it was so unique though, and I would really recommend it. It was not what I was expecting at all, and I can't decide if it was in a good or bad way. But I'm glad I read it. It was a really interesting read. I haven't read a book that's left me feeling this way in such a long time. So I guess that is a good thing in a way. And I definitely want to read Spells for Forgetting that I also have by the same author now. I don't know if it's going to be the same kind of vibes, but yeah. I need to sit and process this one before I come back with a proper review. I think I'm probably going to go between like 4.25 stars. The thing with this book is that I think you'll either love it or you won't. And I think for me, even though I was enjoying it, I did find it a little bit too frustrating, and I couldn't get my head around a lot of the stuff that was going on, and I was trying really hard to understand it. It made me feel kind of stupid, but I feel like if you've read the book, you'll understand exactly what I mean when I say that. The most similar thing I have ever read to this story is Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. So if any of you have read that, even though that's kind of a different genre because that's sci-fi thriller, but if any of you have read that, I think you would really enjoy this book because it's got a lot of the same themes in it. But yeah, I need to process this one. So I need to pick my next read. I'm just kind of mood reading a bit this week because I have an autumn TBR that I want to follow, and I'm just going to sort of pick books off that. So when I did a poll on my Instagram account, I put 4 books on there and I picked the winning book. Now I just actually went back to check the archived stories to find what book I should read next. I was going to go with the second most popular option, and it actually turns out that, so when I checked the poll, The Unmaking of June Farrow was winning, but it had like an hour left until the story had been up for 24 hours. And actually, Black Sunshine by Karina Howe must have taken it over in the last hour. But anyway, I've read that book now. So the next book that I would go to read is this one. This is a completely different vibe to what I've just read, for sure. This is a dark vampire romance, and I'm really, really excited to read this. I've read the Dracula duet by her. I gave Blood Orange 5 stars. I thought it was incredible. So I really wanted to read another book by this author. But the way that I'm feeling after reading The Unmaking of June Farrow, I feel like I want something really short and quick. Even though I don't think this is going to be a particularly complex read, I just think I'm not quite in the mood for it right now, so I'm going to bank this book and pick something else. Now, I have had a book on my mind. This is so random because even though I own the book, I have not thought about picking this book up for a while. I just sort of saw it on my bookshelves, and it is really short, and it's written by Saffron A. Kent, and I really love the author. I read, what book did I read by her? The Unrequited, about over a year ago now, and I loved it. That's like a taboo teacher-student romance. Really, really good book. I think I mentioned it in one of my previous YouTube videos about books that I think are severely underrated, and The Unrequited is one of them. Now, I've got a book by her. I'll get it out actually. So this is the book I think I'm going to read, which is Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent, because look how short it is. The book itself is literally 270 pages, and I just sort of was looking at it and I thought, I just feel like I think it's a bit spicy, I think it's taboo, it's set in a psychiatric hospital, and I think it's a doctor-patient taboo romance, which sounds really fun, really easy, really short, quick book. So this is going to be the next book. and I have not read or seen many, I've not seen many reviews about it, I've not seen many people talk about it. I do like to go into books blind because sometimes I feel like I have the best reading experiences when I don't really know what I'm getting myself in for. Myself here. Thought I'd just do a bit of a reading update. It is now Monday and I started Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent. I didn't have a lot of time to read last night, but so I'm only 34 pages in. So this is a big statement that I'm making here. But this is giving me 5 stars. I cannot explain to you how in just 34 pages she has done the most amazing job at setting the tone for the characters, the sort of characters we can expect. The inner monologues have been incredible in terms of sticking to their personalities, developing a personality. I literally feel like I know Willow really well within 34 pages, and also some of the patients in the psychiatric hospital as well. It's so good. The writing is really good. There is also dark humour in it, which I'm really enjoying. I feel like I can relate to Willow on so many levels. Like, she's obsessed with Harry Potter, she loves the rain, but she ties in these jokes about how she feels about the weather and like her mental health, and I just can't explain like how good this book is already in 34 pages. And I know I'm kind of jumping the gun a bit here, but it's honestly giving me a 5-star feeling. It's just amazing. Like, even Willow's friends in the hospital that she's in, who obviously have had very small parts in it so far, have got such distinct personalities, and I can picture the way that this whole psychiatric ward and hospital works. It's the picture that she's painted, the scene that she's set, it's 10 out of 10. I will obviously come back and give a better update when I've read a little bit more of the book, because, you know, that's a very early update, but it's not often that books give me that feeling so early on, and this definitely has. It's so, so, so good. So reading update, I am, how far into Medicine Man am I now? I'm 73% of the way into Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent. I started reading it on my Kindle because I've been reading it a lot in the evenings, so just for nighttime reading, to use the dark, is it dark mode? Yeah, dark mode option. It's just so much easier, and obviously easier to just lay in bed. This book is so good. I'm really enjoying it. I know I jumped the gun a bit earlier and I said I was thinking about giving it 5 stars. It's not quite giving me the 5-star feeling anymore, but that doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying it. First of all, I just love Saffron Kent's writing. Like, it's so good. She builds really good characters. She writes really well. It's really descriptive. It is somewhat poetic in the way that she describes thoughts and feelings, which I really like, because I feel like it really makes you connect to the characters more. But the spice that she writes is, honestly, like, it takes a lot for me to have to put down a book because I'm reading a scene that is so spicy that I'm just literally like, I don't know what to do with myself, and that is exactly how I feel with this book. And bearing in mind, I read taboo romance and dark romance and spicy books and all that sort of stuff all the time. The stuff that's coming out of this Dr. Blackwood's mouth it's so good. It's so good. I really love Willow's character as well. I really like the way that she's created all these characters. So basically, obviously, because it's set in a psychiatric ward, so it's a taboo doctor-patient romance, and at first it wasn't really feeling that taboo. And it's also an age gap, so she's 18 and I think he's 33, but he sneaks into her room at night whilst the nurses are on rotation, so he knows that he has like 54 minutes or something between the first rotation, the next rotation to go to her room, and things that happen. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. I love Willow's character. She's obsessed with Harry Potter. She's got like lots of depth to her character. There is a lot of mention of quite dark and heavy triggering topics, so definitely be aware of that going into it. But I think the way that she is doing Willow's inner monologue with obviously her trauma and her sort of like inner battles that she has with herself, her inner demons, I think she's written it really, really well, and I'm finding Willow really relatable, and I think that she's handled it in a really good way. Like, she's handled it sensitively. She did state at the beginning of the book that obviously she doesn't mean any offence in the way that she portrays themes in the book, but I feel like she's done a really good job with it. It is quite deep, but it's also really spicy. Like the scales and the balance that she's got here is just absolute perfection. I'm having the best time. I had to make a cup of tea for this update because I've just finished Medicine Man. I thought I'd hold up the book this time because it's such a pretty cover, and I actually read the majority of it on my Kindle, which just sums me up really, to be completely honest, but I'm so glad I still have a physical copy of it because I'm going to give this book 4.5 stars. This was incredible. I absolutely loved it. It was quite... I think a lot happened in terms of the pacing at the end. A lot went on, a lot happened. You know, the book isn't that long, although I say that, this book is only 270 pages, but on Kindle it was like 500 plus pages. And there was me saying I wanted to pick up a shorter book, and then I downloaded it onto my Kindle. I was like, it was over 500 pages. But anyway, so the thing is, the writing in the actual book itself is really tiny, so I'm kind of not really surprised. I don't know if you can tell how small the writing is in here. It is pretty tiny, so yeah, I guess that would make sense. Anyway, 4.5 stars. That was insane. It was really, really good. So quite a lot of my issues with the book going through it, and why I thought it was like I don't feel I'm giving it 5 stars anymore, is because I couldn't really connect to Dr. Blackwood. He was so cold and distant, and I couldn't understand the way he behaved, and especially for like a 33-year-old man, he was really irritating me. But you get so much explanation at the end of the book for why he is the way that he is. I feel like there was a lot of, I wouldn't say it was an info dump, but there was a lot of, we were just given a lot at the end in the last maybe like 10-15% of the book, but I'm okay with that. The epilogue was wonderful. It wasn't one of those typical epilogues where they just have a wedding and then they're like, oh, I'm pregnant. Like, I hate those epilogues. It was a really, really good one. It was the perfect wrap up for their story. I loved everything about the book, even the side characters. I know that this is part of a trilogy called the Heartstone series, and I think Violet or Vi goes on to get a book, and then also some characters that we meet at the end of Medicine Man go on to get a book together as well. I really want Ren to get a book because her character was so funny, but yeah, I absolutely loved the book. It was so spicy, it was so well written, there was really good plot, there was really good depth to the characters. The only reason why I didn't want to give it 5 stars is because obviously I wasn't really sure if I liked Dr. Blackwood for most of the book, to be honest. And also it's a bit insta-love, if I'm being completely honest. A bit insta-lovey, but then also if you take into consideration the setting that they met each other in and the circumstances that they were in, I can understand it from Willow's point of view, but I still can't really understand it from Dr. Blackwood's point of view, like Simon Blackwood's point of view, because he's like obviously an older guy, and it was a bit insta-love. I did a poll over on my Instagram stories asking you guys to pick my next reads, so I did put a few books from my full TBR in there, and then I kind of threw in, I think I threw in like a dark romance by Rena Kent and stuff because I wasn't really sure what I'm feeling. So let's just check the poll and see what everybody's saying, because I put that up yesterday, so I think it might be finished now, so let's see what the winning book was. Okay, we have a very, very clear winner, which was Crimson Moth, which got 43% of the votes. So I also put Evocation in, Empire of Sin and Of Deathless Shadows. So 3 out of the 4 books on there were part of my full TBR because I'm really trying to stick to it, and I'm also just really feeling fantasy and stuff at the moment. But Crimson Moth is the winner, so that's going to be the next book. I'll show you guys. This is it. I think this has a different name in the UK, which is Crimson Moth. I think in the US it's called Heartless Hunter, but I think it's part 1 in a duology, and it's a YA romantasy, and I think it's to do with witches and witch hunters, and I think that's all I know. I don't actually know anything more than that, apart from it's sort of like potentially a rivals to lovers, forbidden romance sort of story. I haven't read a YA fantasy since I read Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which was nearly a year ago. I don't really reach for it that often, but I don't actually think I've seen anybody rate this less than 5 stars. And even saying that, I saw somebody on my Instagram account yesterday who literally has just finished reading Crimson Moth, and she also gave it 5 stars. So I definitely need to read it. The writing is huge in this one. It's also another hardback. I don't know why I'm reading so many hardbacks at the moment, but I seem to have bought loads recently and they're all on my TBR. I actually finished this book since the last time I updated the vlog, but it was totally by accident. So I think I got about 50 pages in when I started the book on, I think it was Friday. I got 50 pages in and I didn't read any more. And then on Saturday, because of the 50 pages that I read, I wasn't really sure how I felt about the book. So I thought, right, I'm going to get about halfway through, because it took me a really long time to get into the Crimson Moth. So I'll get about halfway through, then I'll come back and update the vlog. I sat there for 5 hours and finished the book in that sitting. I literally couldn't put it down. I was late to go back to the stables to do my horses. I had to completely change all my afternoon plans because I had just been sat with this book for 5 hours on my sofa drinking multiple cups of tea. I absolutely loved this book. It did take me a while to get into it. This is basically like an enemies to lovers to enemies, witches, that's witch hunters, fantasy, romancy, YA sort of book. And even though it was YA, and it did read quite YA for me, because I've recently since then picked up a dark fantasy and the vibes are completely different, but regardless of that, I still absolutely loved this book. The ending was absolutely insane and I cannot wait for the second book to come out. I think it comes out in February next year. It's not really too long to wait. I'm surprised at how much I liked this book, because like it took me 150 pages to get into it, honestly, but then once I sat down I was that into it that I forgot to even come back and update the vlog. So I'm sorry that there isn't much footage of me actually reading the book or any updates, but I devoured this book. It's such a great recommendation. If you're not sure about picking it up, then I highly recommend it. It was so fun. It was so fun. I loved the vibes. It was very like cozy, cottagecore, witchy, masquerade balls, spells, like blood magic. Like it was so fun. I absolutely loved it. So my current read, which I started this morning, which is a dark fantasy, is Of Deathless Shadows by K.M. Moronova. I am 141 pages in. I'm using a tissue as a bookmark because I couldn't find a bookmark. This feels like super dystopian. What has happened so far and what I've seemed to grasp of it so far is there's a war in Frenencia, is that what it's called? Or, oh my god, I don't even know how you say these places. There's a war up there, it's on another continent, and the war is coming down and it sort of lands and it wipes out our FMC's village. So she's called Terra. Had to just check because there's so many names in this book. It completely wipes out her village. She has a boyfriend who was supposed to go to the war with his dad, who is not very nice, and he was drafting him off to the war on this other continent. They were going to run away together because he didn't want to go to this war, and the night that they're supposed to run away, he changes his mind. She goes up to the mountains because she's so upset she doesn't want to go home, and he goes back to the village. And then the next day, the army from the other continent lands, and they have these like black things that are in the sky, and then this black dust settles and everyone in the village or on the continent who is older dies in the most graphic, gory way ever, and they all get split up. She also has a younger brother. They're all heading to Orcrows, and everyone keeps saying you'll find out, you'll get all the answers to your questions once you get to Orcrows. So it's really dystopian feeling. It's not what I thought it was going to be, but it's really cool. It's a very unique world. I've not read anything like this before. I love the idea of the shadows, the way the magic system seems to be working so far. I'm still trying to grasp things. It is extremely fast paced. Like, so much happened in the first 50 pages. Basically everything I've just described to you happened in the first 50 pages of the book. So it's really fast paced, it's really gripping, it's really exciting. It's a very dark world. I really like it. Like, the sun's gone now, there's no sun, it's just ash rain from the sky now. update. I am halfway through. This is one of the best books I have read all year. It is just absolutely insane. I saw a review on Goodreads and I could not agree with it more. And the girl said, this is like Hogwarts, but if Voldemort won, and it's dark and it's obviously like full of magic, but it's dark magic, it's shadow magic. And it's like as if the FMC is in a why choose. So her name's Terra. It's like her being in a why choose relationship with Draco, Harry, Snape, if Snape was, say, like a younger, sexier version than he is in Harry Potter, and I could not agree more. It is literally like Hogwarts, but if Voldemort won and he was running the school. To me, when I was first reading it, it kind of feels a little bit like Maze Runner. All three of the films where, you know, they're sort of like, sometimes they get split up, there's multiple storylines going on, they're all in different locations, and you know eventually they're all going to find each other and meet, and then it's all going to kick off. This is what it's like, because at the moment, Terra, Edgar and Finn are all in different parts of the continent. They're all discovering things. What I love about this book is we're being drip-fed information, but from each location that the characters are in. So they're all discovering things about the world, about the shadows, about Skyfell, about the Finestians. I can say that name correctly now. And we're learning about them at the same time as the same POVs that we're reading, which I really, really enjoy. There's still so many questions I have. I am so intrigued. I think it's a really, really unique magic system, and it's super dark and it's kind of gory as well, to be honest. But I am obsessed with this. This is incredible. This is amazing. Finished this last night and this is 5 stars all day. This is one of the best books I have read all year. I feel like I've read such good books in this vlog. I think mood reading is definitely the way forward. This was absolutely incredible. So the second book is called Secrets of All Crows, and I think that's where everything is going to be fully explained. And it has been absolutely insanely crazy, but I am obsessed with the setting of this book. It's the easiest 5 stars I've ever given. If there's one book that you read from this vlog, please let it be this one. Especially, just be careful, read your content warnings. This is definitely a darker fantasy for sure, but it is so good. I could not put this book down. It was annoying me having to even go to work. I was like, I don't want to go to work. I want to call in sick. I just want to sit and read this book all day. I have literally just started Secrets of All Crows. On Goodreads, I've noticed a lot of people have been rating Secrets of All Crows higher than the first one, and I've seen a lot of 5-star reviews, and I feel like it's a really underrated series. I have not seen anybody really talking about it on BookTok or on Bookstagram or anything like that. So please, if you just take one recommendation from this vlog, let it be this. If you're into darker storylines, it's just so good. When you're so engrossed and immersed into a story that it literally plays out in your head like a movie, that is exactly what I'm getting with this book. Well, to be fair, I've had it with most of my reads. I feel like I've read some great books, but yeah, I am going to wrap the vlog up here, guys. Thank you for so much spending the week and a bit mood reading with me, and let me know if you like content like this, because I definitely feel like I want to film more. Just picking whatever I want to read when I want to read it is such a great way to read. I feel like before I used to be so good at picking out a TBR and sticking to it. If you've come from my BookTok account, which I have been I've had that account for 2 years, I used to do a monthly TBR and I used to do a monthly reading wrap up, and I honestly, my reading wrap up would be what my TBR was, nearly book for book. I used to be so good at it, but I definitely feel like, not that my reading tastes have changed, but I think it's just so much nicer sometimes to just look at a book and think, yeah, do you know what, I feel like reading that and I'm just going to read it. Not that there's anybody who's telling me I need to stick to a list, but you know what I mean. When you make a TBR, sometimes you feel this really weird need to stick to it. But no, I'm changing my ways, because the books, I don't think I've rated a single book in this vlog less than 4 stars, which is insane, because I'm quite fussy with my books and I don't give 5 stars out easily. I really don't. And I'm actually having quite a few 5-star reads recently. Anyway, wrap the vlog up here. Thank you so much for spending the week with me, reading along with me. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you think about them, any book recommendations you might have for me based off of the books that I've been enjoying. If there's anything you think is similar and you think I should read it, let me know. I'm always looking for an excuse to go book shopping. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming content, and I'll see you in my next video.